In general, I have a pretty hard time figuring out what it's best to FD versus regular blocking. Are there specific situations that you want? Yes. So what you want are situations in which, like the most optimal use of Faultless Defense is when you are in a range where if you Faultless and they're autopiloting their way through a string of moves, you can make one whiff where it wouldn't otherwise whiff, right? So if you normal block and I run into your face with chip and I press crouch punch, stand kick, stand slash, I'm going to still be in range after the stand slash. It's probably still going to be a close slash, especially if I ran at you. And I have a fat ass frame advantage after that. It's plus a really nice number, probably like 4 or 5 or something. So with that frame advantage, I can throw you, or I can go into another button, or I can like set up some kind of mix-up of some sort, right? But if you FD'd that, then I probably wouldn't have gotten close slash. I probably would have gotten far slash instead. Far slash has different properties, and it definitely doesn't give me a frame advantage, right? So if you had FD'd that, now you wouldn't. You add a little bit of block recovery when you FD stuff, so the frame data is not identical. But ideally, you could end up in a situation where maybe that third button that you blocked whiffed entirely, and you actually get a whiff punish. That's like the best time to FD. And so you can see this in, like, people will often do strings which aren't necessarily FD proof, right? And so if you're FDing early on in the string, and they're doing that string, then they might whiff, or they'll have to stop their route and do a different combo if they notice that you've FD'd. So yeah, like there are certain situations where it's just a good idea, and you kind of don't want to be too consistent about it because that makes it easier for your opponent to adjust, right? If I see that you're FDing a lot, I might be more likely to go for high lows. I might be more likely to go for throw mix-ups because I know I'll have an additional frame advantage, and I know that you're thinking about blocking a whole hell of a lot. That's one of the important things that you kind of you show your hand a little bit when you FD or when you IB stuff, right? IB is great. If you can do it well, that's fantastic. But what you're telling the opponent is that you're very focused on blocking, right? Because you have to be if you're looking for the opportunity to land a specific IB. So if that is the case, then they can take that information and be like, oh, since they're thinking so much about when they're blocking, I can mix up my timing, or I can go for high-low, or I can go for a throw. And it might work better because they're looking for the specific IB. And yeah, if you're FDing constantly, you're going to spend a ton of meter, and which means you won't be dangerous when it comes to anything else.